My name is Candice, and I'm here today to share a little bit of ed tech with you that I recently learned about and thought was amazing. So I wanted to just give you a little bit about what I learned. And so I wanted to start out by saying, when I was in the classroom, I would never start a class a year without these things right here. Okay, I always had to have a class set of whiteboards, erasers, and dry erase markers to start the year because we use them all the time with kids, right? The only problem is that these things would get lost. I'd start the year with 25, a set of 25, and then by the end of the first week, I would have probably 18, right? They either got lost or they dry up. So these aren't really a great idea unless you want to keep replacing them over and over again. So today, I want to tell you about something that is an online digital form of this whiteboard that you never have to worry about dry erase markers drying out. So let's get started and take a look at what this is, Whiteboard Chat. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll take a little tour of what this looks like. So if you type in your browser, whiteboard.chat, you'll land on a page that looks like this, okay? And the one thing I want you to notice here is that this states this is a free, yes, I said free, interactive online whiteboard for teachers. And as teachers, we're always looking for something for free, right? But not only is this something that you will use every day with students, you can use it in so many different ways that we'll talk about today. So the first thing I want you to see here is this picture here in this blue area. You can see the teacher here, and over on this side, you'll see the group of students. The beautiful thing about whiteboard.chat is that you can have a bird's eye view of all of your students and their individual boards at once. You can see here each student has a board. You'll see the student's name on the board, and then you can even see them working in real time and possibly catching them doing something that they may need help or an intervention on. So that's one of the pieces. Let's go on down here. We're going to look at some more things that this great tool has. Okay, so here you'll see that it is very compatible with all different devices, compatible with an iPad, Chromebooks, and even mobile devices. So whiteboard.chat works on all of these things. Okay, just going to scroll down some more and you can see some of the ways that it can be used and some really neat things about whiteboard.chat. Moving on down here, this shows all of the programs that and platforms that it is compatible with. And many schools use, I know, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, and so this would be very compatible with those programs. Okay. A very really kind of important thing that we all need to think about is how we can make sure that the information that we're teaching, the instruction that we're doing is accessible to all students. And so they've even thought about that. I'm going to click in here just to show you some more about that. Okay, here you see there's you can navigate the whiteboard using certain keystrokes and shortcuts. And it also has a dark mode. And so some students like to have the words written on a black board, a black background instead of white. So that's what dark mode would do for us. Okay, and then some other things I want to point out here is that it has a speech to text transcription. So if there's a student that cannot type the answers within the assignment, the student can actually just say the answers orally and it will record that. It also has audio instructions here in the pink, and that would be more for the teacher's end. So if the teacher wanted to record instructions, the student can actually access that later and refer to it as they're doing their homework, maybe at home. Okay, there's also a chat language translation. So if you have students that their primary language is not English, they can actually chat in their language and it can be translated into English. So very useful tool right here. Okay, Goes on to talk about types of writing practice. So it offers many types of grids that we'll look at once we open a board, and we can see how those could be helpful to our students. Lots and lots of fun manipulatives and widgets that will be useful and helpful as you teach a lesson. Those are some that you can see here, just an amazing amount of information. Okay, so we're going to just go back here and see if we can open up a whiteboard and take a look at that. Okay. So looking here, we're going to scroll back up to the very top where we started, and this is where you will actually open a board. Now, great thing about Whiteboard Chat is you don't have to have an account. You can just go ahead and start working and just try it out and see if it's something that you would like to create an account in. There are some other options that come with an account when you create one, like saving boards and things that you may want to look into later. So we're just going to click here on Start a Class. And here is our whiteboard. Now, notice there are lots and lots of options. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a look around, and we're going to see what some of these options and features can do. So starting up here at the top, you'll see this little menu feature here. If I click on this menu feature, it will open up the menu bar and kind of describe what each of these icons will do. Now, most of these icons are pretty self-explanatory. We've seen them in other places before, but we're going to talk about how you can use each of these and some examples of some. Before we do that, I want to go over here and let you know that this is titled the instructor board. So there is also a student board, and the students, when they open their board, will see what you as the teacher have either entered in the saved board or they can see you actually teach live on their board. So the first thing I want you to notice, it says unnamed. So here you will just type your name, what the students call you, or for today, we're just going to type teacher. So we know this is the teacher or the instructor board. Now notice a little bit to the right, you will see this code come up. And this is a code that can later on, or whenever you wish, can be shared with students. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And once the students use this code, they'll use this code to see your board and see what that looks like. So we'll see what that does in just a moment. You have the undo and the redo buttons here, the refresh, the trash that will delete things. You can zoom in and out. And then here you can actually choose your pin color or whatever the board frame will be. So I just clicked on that dot there, and we could change to different colors. And you can see it changes my board frame, and then it will actually change what I write. So if I wanted to go ahead and let me just demonstrate that for you now. If I want to click pin, I can use this to draw. Okay. Might want to play around with some of the colors. We can try a turquoise, and then it changes it to turquoise. Okay. So that's a really fun tool that you might want to be careful with when you're having students play around with that, because they can also choose their pin color. So that is just something fun. You can even use it to match for holidays or do something seasonal, which is a really fun thing to do. So I want to get rid of this, obviously, because I was just demonstrating. So the way to do that is you can do undo, and it will take that off. Or you can also go to the trash can, pull that down, and clear the page. Okay, it will ask you, this will clear all the objects. So if you don't want all the objects gone on the page, you wouldn't use this one. Okay, so that clears that for you. Let's go back to this menu board and see what else we have here. Okay, the T, that is going to allow you to open up a text box. So if you don't want to use the pen tool to write, you can open up the text box and just start typing. Okay. And this is a good option if you have students that may not be comfortable with the writing tool, so they can actually use the text box. So if I wanted to erase that, remember we have the delete button here, but we also have an eraser. So this is an object eraser. I can just choose that, and I can erase what I just wrote. disappeared. Okay, let's keep on looking around because there's so many things here that I want to get to. Another really useful option right here is this option of uploading. But when you open it up, look at the many choices you have to upload. So you can upload files from your computer. You can upload from Google Drive. You can upload a bingo. I will say that there's not a bingo to choose from here. You would have to get a bingo card from another website and then actually save that and upload it here. You can upload linked PDFs. You can upload a live worksheet with that. Also, you do have to go to a certain website that has live worksheets and then upload them here. You can upload photos and audio recordings. So this is where we talked about before that you can record your audio instructions and a student can reference that later. We can try that out. So let's try uploading a file from my computer. And if you click that, it should bring up your saved, anything you have saved. I'm going to try this one here. This is Valentine's. And it says it's loading image. Please wait. There it is. So that's our PDF for Valentine's. Now, if I wanted to give the students instructions, maybe an audio instructions, I want to upload some of those instructions. So I am going to go to upload photos, audio, and video right here. Okay. I want to do an audio file. Well, that's not what I wanted. So let's try again. Add webcam, add webcam audio. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to click start recording and I'm going to give students instructions on what I would like them to do on this worksheet. Okay, so I'd say this. Please use your pen tool to answer the multiplication problems on this worksheet. And don't forget the secret message at the bottom. Stop recording. Then it should bring up something like this that shows you a play bar and you can hear what you said and save it. Or if you wish not to save it, you can start over. So let's listen. Please use your pen tool to answer the multiplication problems on this worksheet. And don't forget the secret message at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that. Just wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like and how you can use it. So many fun things. If I wanted the students to respond, then I would ask them, choose the pen tool. Okay, and then they could answer, what is 3 times 8? Well, I know that's 24. And so I could just add that there. So this is the way you can use PDFs to assign students any type of assignment that you have saved on the whiteboard. Now, what's really cool is that you would be able to see students working at their own pace. And then I'll show you in a little bit what that would look like to be able to see all the students at once. Okay, let's keep going here because this is a fun one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this so that if I show you some of the other tools, it's not on top of that. So I want to select this. I want to get rid of it. So I'm just going to clear my page. Yes, I want to clear it and it's gone. Okay, so here's the fun toolbox. So the toolbox here has a lot of different things. Some of these are games, some of them are class polls. So I want to point out this class poller here because this is another fun thing that you can do. It will bring up a poll and a question. And here you would just simply type your question like, what is your favorite color? Question mark. And then you put the choices. Could it be red, blue, purple? And then I could save it and send it to students. I could edit it or I could just close it. if you decide not to use a poll, but that's a really fun thing. I would use this in the morning, maybe for an attendance, just taking attendance of all the students and put a fun question here. Maybe you want to say, how are you feeling today? And then they can respond in different ways. So that is the poller, the class poller, and it is in the toolbox right here. There it is. Okay, some other things you'll see are drop zone, and I you just have to get in here and play around and look at some of these things and all that they do. But I do want to point this out. There's grids here. If I click grids, it brings up another mini menu, and it has all of these types of grids. So say I wanted the students to have handwriting paper, I would just click here, handwriting, and it brings up handwriting paper. Okay. Well, I'm going to undo that to show you some of the other grids that are in the toolbox, because there are some great ones. Maybe I want college lined paper and I want them to type a paragraph on notebook paper. There it is right there. So many things to do here. Another fun one besides the grids is chattel. So I'm going to click chattel. If any of you have played Wordle before, this is the form of Wordle, but it's called chattel. So it brings up a box like this. And what you would do is say, I want to auto pick a 5-letter word. If you wanted to make up your own word, or maybe use a vocabulary word you're studying, you could type your own word here. But for this purpose today, I'm just going to leave it on auto pick, and I'm going to tell it to create. And there's our chattel. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you just start with any 5-letter word. I'll try out apple, maybe. And then I enter. Did I get any of them right? Apparently not. So then you keep on going and you try to choose letters that you think the secret word might be. So that is called chattel. And I could see this being used maybe during recess. Maybe as a do now, practicing some of the spelling words that you've done. So you can see if I go undo, it's going away letter by letter. So if I want to clear my whole page, I'll just click clear page. Yes, I want it gone, and it goes away. Okay, so lots of things in this toolbox. I would use that one a lot. This next one here is the select tool. Anytime you have an image on the board and you want to select that image, you can select it and make it go away. You can select it and animate it. You can select it and move it. So there's lots and lots of options to do with the select tool. All right, we're going to keep going though, because there's many others. This is the move in size. If you want to bring up a text box, for instance, and you're typing, but whatever you typed, you want it to be larger, you would click that and you would resize it, or you could move it to another spot on the page. There's the lasso tool and the pan tool, and you can figure out what to do with those tools there. There's lots of information online that will show you what all these tools do, but I want to get on to some of the other things that I'd like to spend more time on. So let's move down here, and down here you can see these are pages. If you had multiple pages or multiple boards, you can toggle back and forth here to see all of those boards. The thumbnail view here will show you all of those pages in the left so that you can actually see what's on all those pages on this board. The grid view is wonderful because this grid view is that bird's eye view of all of your students working on their boards at once. So I don't have any students in here, but I do want to show you what that would look like. So this is what it looks like. This is my board here. And then it also shows you the other boards. If these were students in my class, it would have their name. And if we were working on a particular board or problem or worksheet, it would have those things there. And I could actually see the students as they're working. So amazing opportunities right there. Okay, I'm going to take it back to the single view. Well, yeah, let me take it back to the single view, just so you know, this is my instructor board. Okay, and I want to show you one other really useful tool. So the manage boards, if you go to manage boards, it will pull up all of the boards that you've created and that you've saved. You can reference those boards again for later, but it's a really, really neat option. So you can see I have all of these boards here. Now, if you go to these tabs at the top, you see it says saved boards, which is what we're in now, or community boards. Community boards are boards that other teachers have created already, and they've saved them to this area here. So you may not even have to create a board yourself. It might be done for you. You can see all the titles of these boards, the grade level, and a little description of what they're about. Okay, all you have to do if you want to use one of these boards is you either copy it or it gives the link there, and it will just save it directly to the area we were at on our saved boards. Okay. So manage boards, amazing. So I'm going to go back here because I want to show you one of the boards that I got from the community boards was a decorate a snowman. So if I wanted to view that on my board, I would click view. And it will bring up that lesson. So I thought this was kind of fun because if you're just new to whiteboard.chat, this would be a really fun way to kind of practice with the tools. So here you're supposed to decorate a snowman. So what would you do to decorate a snowman? Well, maybe I would use my pen tool, or maybe I would use the arrow. Maybe I would use some of the shapes, and I would just drag those onto my snowman. So if I wanted maybe a circle for an eye, I would have this circle there. That looks like more of a nose than an eye. I probably need more practice with this. There we go. So that looks like the snowman is winking at us. All right, so we're going to just take that away and look at some other things that we have going on. I'm going to clear my page. Yes, I want it gone. And we're clear again. Okay, so we've gone over here to the left. We've looked at some of the top. I want to talk a little bit more about other things you might see here. This one here, super important, help students. If your students are working on their individual boards, then what they could do is they could raise a hand and actually ask for your help privately. So that's what that tool is for. And the students have that option on their board. You see a timer here if you want to time the students doing anything, and then help. We've gone through the bottom and we've looked at all of the tools at the bottom. So now I want to show you some of my favorite things here. Over here on the right is several tools. My objects are things that you would save there. The gizmos, if I pull up gizmos, so many choices. You can see right now we're in the category of emojis and stickers, and you can just use these and take them over to your whiteboard as you wish. You can resize them, make them big, make them small. Endless things to do here. Okay, there's also things like a sun and a cloud. Maybe you're studying weather. So many things under this category. But notice that there is an up and down arrow here. So there's many more categories within gizmos. So let me just scroll down and it will bring up, it has different types of currency, things to do with experiments. If you're doing experiments in class, math symbols and manipulatives. I'm clicking on that one. I need to show you that one. Okay, math manipulatives. Who doesn't need these? And right here, they're at your fingertips and can be at students' fingertips without having to pass up the different baskets of fraction bars, as you can see here. So we could use a fraction bar. Maybe we want a half fraction. There it is on my board. Okay, maybe it's too small, so we move it and resize it. Here's some pi fractions. So there's a thermometer. I mean, there's a ruler. There's so many things here. I think you're really going to need to just dig in and look around a little bit. Okay, so we were on math symbols. There's other things like games, comic, music, weather, all different things here. So you can just play around with that. And that is in the gizmos section. Okay, Well, there's still another little icon here called widgets. So let's click on widgets and see what that brings up. Well, here you can add a link, an AI image. There's a calculator that you can use, clocks that are colored, some dice. There are factory tiles, so all these different little, oh, here's a fun one. So this one is a spinner, okay? So it brings up a spinner here that actually spins, and right now it has names of fruit. So that can be customized. If I want to spin that spinner, I just click on spin and it spins, all right? This can actually be shared with students. Students can have it on their board. You can showcase each student's board so that they can take turns using the spinner. Another fun one would be with students' names. Now mine looks a little odd because we don't have students in this class right now, so wouldn't use that. But if you had students in your class, their names would show up on this spinner. Okay, there's a spotlight. And one other thing that I think is really, really fun is to embed a YouTube video directly on that whiteboard. Okay, so I would click there. It brings up a YouTube window here. So what I could do is I could go to my YouTube tab. I can click, copy this. I can copy this particular video, go back to my whiteboard, paste the URL here, and it should go right to that video. Okay, and the students can watch that. Maybe it's an intro to their lesson that you might want to share with them. So many options that you can do, much more, right, than having this regular whiteboard. There's so many more different things that you can do. So I want to show you one more thing before we close out. I'm actually going to close out our widgets. And there is up here the invite option. So if I want my students to be invited to this board, I would click invite. Okay, and it brings up a window that has several different options in ways that students can join your board. So they can scan the QR code with their phone camera. They can just go to the board using the link. They can use that code that I pointed out is at the top of the board, and they just can copy that code and paste it in on their end and their device. Or you can email invite them with Google Classroom or Teams. So once you do that, the students will be able to see everything that you're doing on your board, and they will actually see, as you move your cursor around on your board, they will see their teacher's name and know and be able to follow where you're at on their board if you have several things on this board. So you can see whiteboard chat, number of things that come to my mind as how I would use it as a teacher. I hope things are coming to your mind and you'll be able to use it if you haven't been using it already. So thank you so much for coming to this presentation, and hopefully I'll dig in more and keep learning. I hope you will too. Thank you.